Welcome back to the Gemini channel. My name is Laura, if you're new to my channel, and I'm going to do a general message for Gemini. Know that energy is fluid, roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I look at everything, but we take time to look at the spiritual blockages, the shadows, to see how they play it as karmic themes, to help you understand why everything's playing out the way that it is, why you're attracting that person into your life, what you can do to shape shift the energy, and what you need to do to heal. So again, we do look and see what your person did do, what they're going to do, but again, you're the alchemist of your life. You're the healer of your life. It's important to understand why certain karmic themes continue to play out within your connection or maybe even your connections. A lot of times when we don't heal, we get the same spiritual test just with different people, right? We relive the same karmic scenarios over and over and over again until we really change. And even when we change, we a lot of times we'll still live the experience, but the experience doesn't affect us. We like because we learn the lesson. So we ha it's all about seeing yourself differently, right? So healing requires you to actually embody a whole new consciousness. So again, you'll get the lesson, but the way that you deal with the lesson is so much different that it's not considered a block where you're stuck and not knowing how to deal with it, not knowing what to do, not know you don't have any of that. This is, oh, I see it, but it doesn't trip me up. I know exactly what I need to do, and I'm going to execute my plan in how to deal with whatever it is, so that I get a good outcome, so that I don't live the negative karmic consequences, because there's always karmic consequences when you're dealing with karmic mates. If there just is. Dealing and doing anything, there's always going to be a karmic retribution. It doesn't all the time mean bad. That's the thing. Karma could be, hey, you put out good and you get good back. Unfortunately, with these shadow readings, we're usually seeing people that have like bad character. And because they have bad character, they don't treat the people that they're with very well. And it's because it's a reflection of how they feel about themselves. But when you're connected to someone like that, you don't recognize the fact that they're not treating you well because you're connected to them because of how you perceive yourself. And a lot of times we don't wouldn't know that. We wouldn't know that if we were wounded. We can camouflage the fact that we're wounded by driving a nice car, living in a nice house, being married to a certain person. Again, but those wounds, they never go away. They might be, you might have been able to repress them or suppress them or learn to navigate your life in avoiding, but we will never be able to fully avoid without a karmic consequence. Again, karmic retribution. What are you going to give in return? So when live safe because you don't want to be in a relationship, what are you risking? Again, that emotional connection. You're not going to be able to create many experiences either if you're hibernating inside your house by yourself. That's an example, but we can see anything in life that, whichever way there's good aspects and negative aspects, we can never really fully avoid, is what I'm trying to get at. All right. Anything of any importance or relevance to the channel, you can find in the description box. If you resonate with the video, give it a like. Again, be interactive with me. Again, these are shadow readings, so they have a therapy style to them. That might not be your thing, but if you're someone that needs healing or feels like you need to create balance within your connection, then this is going to be your channel. All right, let's see what the underlying energy is fear. I always like to pull another one because I get to pull from my deck, the Psychic Soul Healer Shadow deck, but it's also gives me a little bit of depth to the reading. Let me see. These are shadow cards. Christ consciousness. So, shadows are not just negative. We tend to associate just negative with our shadows. They block aspects of ourselves, so it could be talents as well. So what we see here is the opposite, polar opposite energy. So you're connected to someone that's very fearful, but there is an intuitive, claircognizance connection, which is the ESP through the heart and mind. You don't know how you know, you just know. And Christ consciousness is all about the energies of unconditional love. So when someone possesses those energies, um, people know, people can see it. That you don't fake it. So it's actually very intimidating a lot of times because it's going to bring out the demons in people. And I feel like you're in connection with someone that feels like they just wouldn't live up to you. They don't think that they could live up to your standard. And I feel like the person has a lot of fear inside, and they have fear because of experiences. So the underlining energy is it's like you're sitting in a polar opposite energies. And, unless this person comes to you because they need advice or they need something, it's almost like I don't feel like they're strong enough to be in your energy. And that's what they feel. So we're not seeing much movement, because you're not going to go down to this person's level of fear-based thinking of, well, I'm going to have one foot in, one foot out. I don't really know what I want. I'm not strong with myself, so I'm not going to trust you. That's not your energy. You're in a place of love, unconditional love. And so you're just not going to do it. And so that's the problem. And so this person has unhealthy attachments. And I think at one point when you met this person for like a long time ago, if you met this person, you've been in this relationship for a few years, I'm feeling, then, this person has always had people or things on the side, like codependent relationship. And I feel like you were not in the energy that you're in now. Like you put a lot of healing into yourself because this person started to affect you mentally. So even though it was a twin flame journey, it's like this person like was on a low vibration when you met them. And because I feel like you are on such a high vibration, it's hard for this person to be on your level. So they can come up to your level for like a very limited amount of time, then they're going to go back down. And you can go down to this person's level for a limited amount of time, but you're not going to be able to stay there, and that's the problem because when the twin flame journey is, the person is not, you're not supposed to go down to that person's level. That person needs to rise up to your level. You're holding the standard. You weren't holding the standard in the beginning of the connection. In the beginning of the connection, you would compromise because you would see this person would try and then it wouldn't, and then you would go down to their level and then go back up. But the problem is that after a while, this person wasn't putting in the effort anymore. They were expecting you to go down because in the beginning of the connection, there's a lot of passion. There's a lot of fantasy, but then over time, it becomes real. There's expectation of what, and so that makes this person nervous because, hey, like you're gonna have demands on them. You have demands on them, and it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their feeling of inadequacy, their feeling, again, which that's the problem. So this person is on a lower vibration because they run away to avoid facing their problems. They don't want to look at them. They don't want to apologize. They don't want to they stay in the shadow They stay on a low vibe, and they are able to do this with their unhealthy habits and their behaviorisms. So that's pretty much what the problem is that, for a while, it's not the chemistry. It's not that the chemistry isn't good. The chemistry is actually off the charts to the point that you both thought that this was just a destined connection because it was such a strong connection, ESP through the heart and mind, but you didn't know this person. This person didn't know you. It was who you thought that this person is. So it's not that this person isn't like, oh, I'm crazy, like passionate about you. When it comes to looks, it's just on a low vibration because this person's like, you're the first person that's on my mind when I wake up in the morning. But again, this person in public acts like they don't care about you when they really do. So they have to create this facade and this illusion where they're not true, they're not transparent. And so that's the problem. It's not that this person doesn't feel bad. It's like they do. They're ashamed of how they treated you. But the rose-colored glasses are off. You see them for who they are. So they would have to do a lot of work in order to heal this. And that's the problem. Childhood wounds are influencing this person's actions where I have feelings for you, but and all of that but is just fear-based thinking that really it has to do with the fact that this person would have to grow up. They would have to, not have the Peter Pan syndrome anymore. I mean, it has to be more than just a connection. The bad habits and you know unhealthy habits and behaviorisms tells me everything. That's like addictions. That's I want to be able to come and go as I please and not really ever grow up. And we have a connection, but once you showed this person that you could go down to their level a few times, and which just means settle for less because you're not going to do what they do. You're not going to do drugs. You're not going to run around and do like be with a lot of people. You're not going to deal with your life the way that they do, but settling for less by being with them is like being on their level because they're treating themselves like shit, which means that they're going to treat you like shit. And so and when you got into that connection, because you saw, if this person was like, well, the whole time they wanted you to conform, and they were going to do that by not never doing it for you, never like trying, putting in a little bit of effort, but they put in a little bit of effort and slowly, but slowly, but slowly well, because their inner child wounds, they get stressed out. They start to like, oh, what is this gonna, what do you want me to become? What do you want me to do? And they take risks and are really just lazy. They like the illusion of the relationship, but this person's impulsive. Again, so it's all about the physical connection. And if you say anything, well, again, then well, you're judging me. So to be with them, again, you have to lower your energy. You have to go down to their level, and that means you're gonna be disempowered. You have to be like the martyr, all because there's a past life connection here. Like we're supposed to be together, and this is what this person thought. Where it's like after a while, it became manipulative. And you're like, well, I became intolerant to being their victim. And you knew because they would never ask for an apology because, hey, well, then that makes, them feel like lower, like they care too much, too vulnerable, like you're too important then. So again, too much overthinking, fear-based thinking, where then they become intimidated, because you are intimidating them now because you hold to a certain standard. You got to the place where you said, I'm intolerant to lowering to your energy. You want to give me breadcrumbs. Guess what? I'm not, now when you come in with your breadcrumb, I'm not going to acknowledge you. Where at one time you did. It's like because again of the connection. It was like you did a lot for this connection. And so this person kept the situation in balance, thinking that you would eventually change, and they checked out again, which was what we say that they do, so that they don't have to deal with the situation. This is how they run away from facing their problems. They didn't fix it. They figured, well, you can fix it. And I feel like you got to the point where you're like, well, I didn't break it, so I'm not fixing it. This person wanted to make you angry, but now they're angry because their little plan didn't work. They thought for sure. They avoided you to again avoid any criticism, to again for their image, when really they're just, it's another excuse so that they can stay in their old habits of their addictions and running away and doing what they want to do. The only difference is that you're intimidating to them now because, hey, they see you for who you are, and what they see is that they ruin the connection. So that's what they see, and they ruin the connection because they made a lot of promises that they didn't keep because they were always deceiving and self-righteous and had expectations of you, of how you were supposed to be. And when you didn't do it, of course, they got angry. So it says it again, that's it's so the relationship is over. So you have to say, well, why did you attract this person into your life? What was the whole point of the connection? You're a mirror for what comes into your life. Well, pull six. Okay, so we see, look at this, magic. That's a good one. Magic, it's like a lot of times the child that survives thrives, right? So we know that. So, and we'll see, well, we don't see trauma isn't good. We have trauma. We have emotional support. That's not good because this, to me, physical touch is emotional support. Anchor, lies and secrets, imagination, and sing. So when we see that you grew up with trauma, and trauma, psychological, emotional, physical, the mind doesn't know the difference. But when we live in that for long periods of time, and we see lies and secrets here. So I feel like the lies and the secrets could be there was alcoholism in the house, there was drugs in the house, there was adultery, there was some sort of betrayal that no one was talking about. Again, but everyone was made to pretend that the elephant wasn't in the room. And so when we have to live that way, we have to compromise the way that we live. We were not coming from our true self because there wasn't a strong enough support. There wasn't an anchor. Our anchor is our support system, and that's the connection to our parents, right? So if our parents aren't strong within themselves because there's addiction or adultery or just other things, then obviously emotionally you're not going to get what you need. Parents are going to do the best that they can do, but they're human. They're caught up with their trauma, their own stuff. So the child then again goes into their mind. They go into their imagination. They detach, they disassociate in order to deal with that trauma. And that's really where the magic is because you have psychic abilities from going into that realm, from being taught to detach, to deal with that. Because remember, the child that survives thrives, and they thrive through being innovative, through being different, through allowing that creative genius, which is the God part of self, work through them. They're not tainted by the world because they kind of detach. So they're still like a child and have the magic of the child. Remember, be like childlike, because children don't say they can't have and they can't become. They just put the energy out there the best way that they know how, which means that they go off in their day and they may call for a friend, but on the way they see a box and they get an idea from that box, and then before they know it, they go out and they call for all their friends, and their friends get together and they pull that box to the backyard and they make that box into a castle. Like that's an example of the child that creates something out of nothing. They're using their imagination and they're utilizing whatever is available. Spirit saying you still have the magic because you're not, your mindset is not negative. Remember, you detached, you disassociated, you aren't present. You are in the mind. You're in the psychic realm, which is the astral realm, and that's your connection to spirit. And so understand, spirit says you're able to create with that energy because if you can imagine it, you can create it. And as we said, the imagination is also the connection to your psychic ability to being able to see. And we saw the imagination here. I don't know where it went, but I saw it. There it is, imagination. So I just feel like the trauma that you grew up with made you detach and disassociate. So people may not understand you or may even perceive you to be less than, not good enough, not have enough. Again, from a lower energy, when really you're not that, you're actually pure. And when you're clear, because again, children that are abused, they detach, they disassociate to survive. But then what happens is like they still need to, they get taught a lot, unfortunately, from people in the world because they're looking at things like how a child looks at them and people take advantage of that. So I feel like when the trauma was not just you weren't allowed to fully embrace who you were, to hide for the lies and the secrecy, and there was no support, but you were also not allowed to use your voice. So you weren't allowed to really say anything because your needs were not going to be met anyway. Because again, whatever your parent was dealing with, whatever the lie was, the big secret in the house. And I know from my own experience growing up in an alcoholic family, it's something that people obviously don't talk about. They don't talk about that that's the lie, and the lie is that everyone acts like everything's okay, but things are not okay on any level. The entire house is falling apart. So children aren't going out and becoming themselves. What they're doing is they're surviving. They're learning how to navigate. But if when it comes too stressful because they don't know what to do, they just check out, go into the imagination, they detach, they disassociate. And it's because they're in their trauma. It doesn't feel good. And there was no comforting. There was no support. So there was no, that connection when you go through a traumatic thing and your parents are giving you love and support and comfort and reassuring that you're okay. No, there wasn't any of that. It was that you were dealing with the trauma and it was your parents that were creating the trauma and this, so there was no support. There was no emotional support. So you detached, you disassociated from it, but you did what you needed to do to survive. But it doesn't mean that there wasn't that trauma and that that didn't affect you and that that hasn't been imprinted on you. It has been. Is that that's why you attracted a person into your life that was on a low vibration, that emotionally they couldn't give anything. Look, they're filling themselves up emotionally with through their addictions, through, drugs, drinking, whatever they're doing, and again, sex. That's how this person like is. They're in the old habits. So they can't give you because they can't even give themselves. When our cup is full and overflowing, that's when we can give. Otherwise, we're depleted. And a person like that, they're depleted, so it's just easier for them to like have multiple partners and not be, transparent and not really be honest because they're in this lower vibration. And yeah, they felt this connection, but once you showed them that you could lower your vibration, well, I don't really, it's too difficult to make a person rise to your vibration after you've shown them that you will go down and sacrifice. That's the problem. And that's what happened with this person. And that's why you became intolerant to it. They didn't think you were going to let go. Because they were like, well, you care about me. And you were like, no, but what happened was you rose above. You saw beyond your immediate fears, which would be, well, you're my soulmate. You're my twin flame. I'm going to lose you. You're my person. I'm going to lose you. What you said is, you're not. I see things with a new perspective. And you know what? I want to envision a brighter horizon for me, filled with opportunities and love, and where I get to see my genius, where I get to enjoy my life. Because if I'm with you, you're not going to give me anything. You're going to expect me to again, to settle for less. I got the deep wisdom already from how you grew up. This is where you're at with this person. I have deep wisdom. The innate knowledge was that. It was that, hey, it can't just be a connection. Like it has to be more. You had to give more. You had to take some sort of bold action. And so, because this person didn't, you're going to. You're going to take a bold action to push you out of your comfort zone and listen to what you want now, fill your passion, right? To do what feels right to you, to put your time and your energy into things that you want to see happen for yourself. And that's why Spirit says just make sure you align your actions with your values. It is a time for you to stand in unshakable faith by saying, yeah, I don't choose you because you're not good enough for me. And it's like, because you wanted me to lower myself. And if I would have done that over time, they would have disrespected you completely because this person never had plans on doing it. Again, once you showed them that you can. So Spirit says this was about you ascending life, letting go of who you were to realize who you actually are, meaning you deserve a lot more than whatever this person's giving. So why would you even entertain it? And that, in divine timing, everything's going to happen for you. The Spirit has a plan for you. You just have to be in the place of faith right now. Do what you can, you know, which is, take the big leap of faith, like into out of your comfort zone so that you can, find new elements of yourself so that you can, connect with new people so that you could heal is what this time is about. And that things are happening. It's just going to happen what you want to happen in divine time. So we leave off with one more message to close off this reading, and that is vitality, that you're a being of light. Accept the divine energy in your body and every one of your cells regenerates. And why is that important? Because once you clear blockages, that's what happens. You're actually healing your body. So this connection with somebody that, wanted to keep you in a low vibration would be restrictive, would obviously trigger you and did to the point that you were like, I'm intolerant to it, I refuse. And you walked away, so understand Spirit saying that you let go of that heavy weight. You do what's best for you. You move into success because you move into freedom. And that's really what it is, that you realize that your wounds create doubt, resentment, and guilt. And that's what this person did by coming into your life. all the time. So you work to free yourself of the darkness and you cast off negative thoughts and you find peace in your heart and you discovered the being of light within you, which allowed you to release this person, which will allow you to succeed in life, to thrive in life, not just to survive, but to thrive, and that you succeed. You succeed in every endeavor of your life because you direct your thoughts towards the clarity and the nature, wisdom of love and goodness that's within yourself, and that you are free now. And so we see that again, freedom, freedom, freedom. The energies that this person would have brought into your life were all restrictive, and it's because of who they are. So, of course, they would make you lower your energy and would expect you to do it all because we have this spiritual connection, which means that you have to be in a one-sided relationship, which makes absolutely no sense, but it made sense to this person, and they thought that they really had we're gonna have you going along with it, to be honest with you, because hey, a few times you settled for less, and that could be just this person was not consistent in your life, and you put up with it for a little while, and then you were like, I'm not putting up with it. It's like I have standards, I have wants, you need to give me more, and then this person gave you the silent treatment, like, how dare you? And you were like, okay, bye. They didn't expect that. Trust me on that. And so Spirit says no. So you chose you because at the end of the day, you said lowering my standards means I get nothing. So that's really the core beliefs that you needed to look at. I'm going to leave that there. Gemini, you let me know how you resonated, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.